Hello and welcome to the English Speaking Studio. I'm Jack.
And I'm Lucy.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be doing something a little different.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to be diving into some sales and marketing strategies,
Okay.
but through the lens of a business English podcast.
Oh, interesting.
Now get ready to learn about driving sales
Okay.
and picking up some English expressions along the way.
Yeah, that's a really cool approach, I think.
Yeah.
You're learning business concepts and, getting some language skills at the same time.
Let's say 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right in.
Okay.
The podcast we're looking at today features this really tense sales meeting.
Okay.
And this team is under a lot of pressure to boost their sales performance.
Yeah, I can imagine these things can be pretty high stakes,
Right.
especially when jobs are on the line.
And they're facing this classic challenge
Okay.
where their product is the most expensive one in the market.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
I mean, you see a lot of companies struggling with that. Yeah.
How do you balance that premium pricing
Exactly.
with the need to stay competitive?
Right. And this podcast really captures that,
Okay.
that whole dilemma. So in this meeting, the team initially suggests well, let's just lower our prices,
Okay, sure, makes sense.
right, to match the competition.
Right.
So they're like, nah, that's way too simple.
It's not very creative.
Yeah. And plus, they think that their CEO, Mr. Swan,
Okay,
would probably not be too happy with that idea.
right.
And that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, what's the hesitation there?
It is.
I mean, is it just fear as a CEO, or is there a deeper
well, I mean,
understanding?
they get that.
Okay.
Simply lowering prices.
Yeah.
Isn't the best long-term strategy?
It can actually damage the brand, right?
Totally.
If
You
you're-
could devalue
Yeah.
what they're selling.
Absolutely.
And what's the alternative?
Yeah, what do they come up with? So they brainstorm, and they come up with this idea of promotions,
Okay.
specifically a 2-for-1 deal.
Classic
Oh.
promotion.
Like, who doesn't love a 2-for-1 deal?
Exactly. And the podcast uses the example of shampoo,
Perfect example.
which is something we can all relate to, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Everyone uses shampoo.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
most people,
Most people, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So it makes it easy to kind of grasp the concept.
Okay. So 2-for-1 shampoo, how does that
Right.
solve their problem?
Well, it's all about creating that sense of value,
Okay.
right? Like, you're getting more bang for your buck.
You feel like you're getting a deal.
Exactly. And it could lead to, like, this
Yeah.
surge in sales.
Yes. Right. Hopefully
Not-
it drives those sales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the twist.
Okay.
Their manager, who the podcast portrays as
Okay.
like a little bit of a tough character,
Okay.
he shoots down the idea.
Oh, no.
It's like he's not really into creativity.
So he's not a fan of the 2-for-1.
Or maybe he's just
Some shampoo would be the...
afraid to take risks.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes managers, they get stuck in their ways. They're
Yeah.
afraid to try new things.
Right. And it's interesting because
Yeah.
it kind of makes you wonder, like,
Yeah.
what is going on in his head?
Is he actually trying to help his team, or is he just,
Right.
being a blocker?
Yeah, totally. And it reminds us that,
Yeah.
like, in any business situation,
Mm-hmm.
there are always multiple perspectives.
Right.
What seems like a terrible idea to one person
Totally.
could be, like, brilliant to someone else.
Exactly. And that's what makes these situations so dynamic.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Enter the CEO, Mr. Swan.
Okay.
He overhears the team
Oh.
discussing this promotion,
Okay.
and he loves it.
Oh, wow. So
You remember,
he's
same idea.
more open-minded.
Totally.
Remember.
And the podcast even highlights the phrases
Okay.
that they use to praise the idea.
Okay.
Like, brilliant idea,
Oh, no.
which is perfect for learning those English expressions.
Yeah, those little nuances of language
Right.
really make a difference.
Exactly.
Especially in a business setting.
Totally. And it's not just about
Yeah.
having the idea.
Yeah.
It's about knowing how to express it
Exactly.
persuasively.
So you can get buy-in
Exactly.
from the people who matter.
All right. So
Yeah.
we've talked about Mr. Swan, who seems to be pretty cool.
Right. More open to new ideas.
But let's talk about this manager for a second.
Okay.
The podcast really paints him as kind of this uninspiring figure,
Okay.
someone who creates a very tense work environment.
Right, like he's demotivating.
Right. He's like
He's
constantly
inspiring his team.
putting his team down.
Yeah, it's interesting how they contrast that with the...
And the podcast host even contrasts him
Okay.
with their first boss,
All right.
who sounds amazing.
What was so great about this first boss?
They were encouraging and supportive,
Oh, that's nice.
knew everyone's name.
Okay, so really knew the team.
Yeah. It sounds like a totally different vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how much impact a manager can have
Right.
on people's morale and
Totally. And this is
feel
where
about
we want to turn to you, our listener.
Okay.
Have you ever experienced like similar situations
Yeah. Have you worked with different types of managers?
with good and bad managers?
And how did that affect your work?
It'd be so interesting to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts, because I think it just shows how like one person
Yeah.
can really affect
One person can change the whole dynamic
the whole energy of a workplace.
of a team, of a company even.
Right.
So yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
And we haven't even gotten into
Oh, there's more.
yeah, the fluency builder section,
Oh, right. We've got those phrases.
which is full of all these
concrete solutions.
yes.
Match the competitors.
It'll never fly.
So useful for business English.
But first, we want to hear from you.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this whole sales challenge?
What stands out to you?
And this manager, what do you think his deal is?
Is he trying to be helpful,
Is he holding his team back?
or is he just being inflexible?
We want to hear from you. You know, it's amazing how this podcast, it's for language learning, but it's given us so much to think about in terms of business, too.
Right, like actual business strategies.
Yeah, and especially, like you're saying,
Yeah.
that whole customer loyalty piece.
Right, how to build those strong customer relationships.
Yeah, which is so important these days
It really is.
with so much competition.
Absolutely. Okay, so
Yeah.
speaking of language,
Yeah.
I think it's time we jump into that fluency builder section.
Okay, let's do it. I'm curious to see what gems they've got in there.
There are some good ones in there,
Okay.
like concrete solution.
Concrete solutions. Okay.
The podcast really emphasizes that you need to move beyond just like vague ideas.
Right. You got to have a plan.
Yeah, you need actionable steps.
So it's not enough to just say, we need to, like, improve customer engagement.
Yeah.
You've got to actually say how.
You got to have a plan.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be specific.
Like, let's implement a loyalty program
There you go.
with personalized rewards.
See, that's concrete.
That's a concrete solution.
That's actionable.
Right.
It shows you've thought it through.
And then there's match the competitors.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier.
It's not always about copying them,
Right.
but it's about understanding their strengths.
Right. You got to know what they're doing well and
Right.
find a way to either match it
Right.
or be even better.
Exactly. And it made me think about that whole customer loyalty thing again.
Okay, how so?
Well, the podcast, it kind of subtly touches on this idea that customer loyalty, it's not just about giving discounts.
Right. It's about building a relationship.
Exactly. It's about building a lasting relationship.
It's like you're going beyond just the transactional.
Totally.
It's like you want them to feel like they're part of something.
Yeah. And it made me think about companies like Apple,
Okay, yeah, Apple, they've got that loyal following.
right? Like people aren't just buying products.
They're buying into a lifestyle.
Yeah, they're buying into an experience.
They feel like they belong.
Exactly. And that's something that discounts can't buy.
It's like they've built this emotional connection.
Right. And there's that quote,
Yeah, what is it?
people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did.
But they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Exactly. And that's the essence of customer loyalty.
Powerful stuff.
It really is. And this is where we want to bring you in, our listener.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Think about the brands that you're loyal to.
What keeps you coming back?
Is it their customer service?
Is it the quality of their products?
Or is it something else entirely?
Yeah. What's that special something?
And you know, it's interesting because we were just talking about that manager.
Oh, yeah. The one who wasn't a big fan of the 2-for-1 sham.
And it's easy to criticize him.
Yeah, he didn't seem very supportive.
But what if he was actually trying to get his team to think about this very thing?
Okay, that's an interesting take.
Like maybe he was trying to get them to think beyond just those short-term solutions.
Yeah, like discounts.
and consider that bigger picture
Yeah.
of building long-term customer relationships.
Maybe he was trying to teach them a deeper lesson.
Maybe he was just bad at communicating it.
Possibly. It's hard to know for sure.
Right, but it just shows that there's always more than meets the eye,
Right. You got to consider different perspectives.
especially in the business world.
Absolutely. And you know what?
What?
We still haven't covered all those great phrases
I know, right?
from the Fluency Builder section.
Like it'll never fly.
Oh, yeah. That one's a good one.
It's such a great way to like shut down an idea.
Very expressive.
And we only scratched the surface of this whole idea of creating a captivating customer experience.
Right. How do you really build that loyalty?
You know, it's amazing to me how this podcast, it started as a way to learn English.
Right.
But we've gone so deep into these
I know, it's fascinating.
business strategies and customer relationships.
Yeah, it's like we've uncovered this whole other layer
Right.
of learning.
And speaking of learning, let's get back to those fluency builder phrases.
Okay, yeah. We left off with, it'll never fly.
Yeah, that one's so good.
Yeah,
It's so much better than just saying, like, that's a bad idea.
it's way more expressive.
Right. It's like you could just picture the idea, like, crashing and burning.
Exactly, and it just makes you sound more, you
Yeah.
know, confident and
Fluent. Fluent in English.
Right. And then there's in the market.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
It's like essential for anyone in business.
Absolutely. If you're talking about business, you got to know that phrase.
Right. It's all about understanding the competition.
Yeah, like instead of saying, our competitors are doing well,
Right?
you could say, our competitors are gaining market share.
Ha, that sounds so much more professional.
It does. It shows you really know what you're talking about.
And those little tweaks can make a big difference.
Absolutely. People
Wow.
will take you more seriously. Right. It's like you're not just learning the language,
Yeah.
you're learning the business lingo.
You're learning how to use it in the real world.
Exactly. And that's what makes this podcast so valuable.
It really is. It's like a secret weapon.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
we want to leave you with one final question.
A question to ponder.
We talked about customer loyalty.
Yes.
But the podcast didn't really give any specific strategies for building it.
Right. They kind of left that open-ended.
So we're turning it over to you, our listener.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
What are some ways that businesses can build that loyalty?
Beyond just like discounts and stuff?
Right. Like, how do you create those genuine, lasting relationships with customers?
Yeah, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. Think beyond the marketing tactics.
Think about the human connection.
Right. Like, how do you make people feel valued?
How do you create a community?
How do you make them feel like they belong?
I think that's a great place to leave it.
We've covered so much ground today,
From sales strategies to customer loyalty to leadership styles.
and we've learned some great English expressions along the way.
Yeah, it's been a really insightful deep dive.
We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll keep exploring these ideas.
Keep learning
Keep diving deep.
and keep those customer relationships strong.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.